Welcome back. It's 28 after 1 on a Tuesday. You're watching All Angles here on eNCA. My name is William Lahong. We continue with our stories. At the moment, the police's Mlungisi Mthethwa has taken the stand in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. In fact, he was one of the first officers on the scene the day the soccer star was killed. Mthethwa told the court who they met and what they found on the scene. Now, Sergeant is being cross-examined. So let's get the details from our reporter, Moloko Moloto. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Let's talk about the cross-examination that Advocate Mshololo is currently going through with the witness, not giving too much away. Obviously, we are struggling to hear the witness. What is wrong with him? You're seeing him, right? What's his demeanor like? What's going on with him?
Good afternoon, Warawil. Well, it's a very difficult question to answer, that one, because he says he's fine. He had not requested for the break that Advocate Mshololo suggested that he be given. But you can tell that his spirits are down now since Advocate Mshololo began with the cross-examination. Earlier on, we had him really speaking with energy, both during the evidence in chief and during the cross-examination, particularly by Sipho Ramosepele, the lawyer for accused number 1 and 2. Perhaps it might also have to do with the fact that Mshololo herself tends to be more energetic, and she can be a bit loud. You know, it's very easy and not difficult at all to hear her, and she possibly doesn't understand why the sergeant suddenly has to speak so low. But of course, she continues to ask very difficult questions, it would seem, because she is essentially insisting that the sergeant left the scene unattended. She's first started by asking him to outline the training that he received as a police officer. He told the court that at the time, as the constable, he had 5 years experience in the police services. And he said, look, I would need time to really write down the type of training and all the trainings that I have received. And he promises to give the court that information only tomorrow. But the nap of Mshololo, it would appear that she really wanted to create an impression that Sergeant Mthethwa was really careless in the manner in which he and the team dealt with the crime scene, because Mthethwa says they arrived at the scene and Mr. Temba Kumalo, who identified himself as the uncle of the Kumalo family, opened for them. They just took a look into the house, and all of them, the 4 of them, the 2 constables as well as the other 2 trainees, left the scene, and they went to the hospital in looking for Makumalo, the mother of Kelly Kumalo, and that seems to be a problem, at least according to Mshololo, who is saying that they should have made sure that they secured that crime scene until those who were going to be doing thorough investigations arrived. And Mr. Mthethwa really struggled to respond to the specific reasons why they had left. At some point, Mshololo put it to her that you left the scene unattended, and he kept on saying, well, that's what you are saying. But perhaps let's listen to that particular cross-examination by Advocate Mshololo.
Scene to ensure that there's no tampering with the crime scene.
Uma senihamba ke manje niyesibhedlele kwakungani laba abawu2 ningabashiyike ukuthi nje babheke ukuthi akukho kwenzekayo noma kwenziwayo la kwi-crime scene bese niyahamba nina niyesibhedlele?
Ngoba emqondweni yethu yayingakabikho into ethi isini kithi, so sasinike sishiya abantu singatholi information.
Because in our minds nothing had yet registered or told us that it was a sin. There's no way that we would have left people not knowing as to what was happening.
Yeah, but the complaint was straightforward to say there has been a shooting incident. Am I correct?
Kodwa ke uma nithola ke umbiko ke wawuqondile nje ukuthi kwakune shooting in progress.
Leswathola ama-complaint aqondile kanti awaqondile.
We normally get complaints that are straightforward, yet they are not straightforward.
But I'm being specific in this one. I'm talking about this case. For this case, the complaint was specific to say there had been a shooting incident. It means if there had been a shooting incident, there had been a firing of shots.
Kodwa-ke ngikhuluma ngalena-ke manje ukuthi yayi-specific-ke ukuthi kwakukhulunywe ngokuthi kwakune-shooting.
Kumele ukuthi nawe uma ufika lena phela kube nomuntu okufakazelakho lokho ukuthi lento oyithole ku-radio control vele iyiyo ukuze uzokhona ukuqhubekela phambili.
Isn't it that when you get to the scene then, you need to get someone there who is going to confirm that which was reported to you by or via radio control, that indeed that the report you received is indeed so.
Of course, Moloko, it's also very important to note how alert the judge has been this morning, throughout the day, in fact, into this afternoon, calling into question the line of questioning, the material need for going through statements of witnesses in the broader context of the trial. And what has been your assessment of that entire situation?
Yeah, the presiding officer indeed is very alert. In some instances, we actually heard him even yesterday when he was essentially saying that the mistake that has been made by the state advocate, the defense should not necessarily capitalize on such mistakes, saying that, quoting a case law that he said, look, it's an omission, it's an honest mistake, and you cannot really capitalize on that. With regard to today's proceedings, you might have heard towards 1 o'clock when the court took a break, Advocate Zandile Mshololo was reading from the 6-page statement that has been deposed by one of the neighbors, Sylvia Ngobeni. And it was because the reason why Zandile Mshololo had to read that statement in totality is because the judge has also indicated that you cannot just rely on snippets of a statement to make your point. And he's also referring to another previous case law that is kind of like helping in there. So Advocate Zandile Mshololo read that particular statement, and it raises very interesting points. One of them is that after the 4 officers had left the crime scene, apparently herself, this is Sylvia Ngobeni, and her daughter Gugu, but also with other neighbors, specifically including Maggie Piri, and some other lady who went to the house. They went inside the house even before the police returned, and she's saying that she noticed that on the floor there was water. And then she asked to say, why is there water on the floor? And Maggie Piri, according to that statement, responded that no, this is not water. These people here were actually drinking alcohol. And she's saying that she proceeded to say that, ask Maggie Piri why she was cleaning up the alcohol cans that were there. And Maggie Piri, according to that statement, insisted that she does not want the police to see that those people in there were drinking. And earlier on, she, as that statement, as Mshololo was reading it out, apparently this lady, Sylvia Ngobeni, wanted to know why the police were not being called just before they arrived. And Maggie Piri, according to that statement, said that Senzo Meyiwa is not dead. Why should we call the police? But she insisted, Miss Ngobeni, that the police be called. That's when another neighbor, Mr. Ngase, telephoned the police. So what is going to happen when the court reconvenes at 2 o'clock is that Advocate Mshololo is going now to continue with her cross-examination, I presume, based on that particular 6-page statement. Will?
Thanks, Warra. That's Moloko Moloto live to us outside court in Pretoria. We will touch base with him a little later.